Good afternoon from the side of time. Good afternoon from Africa. Good afternoon from Nigeria. It is a beauty to be here again. It's inspiring to look at you and tell a story about the state. It is nagging to see that the state keeps stuttering despite the state having the mouth to speak progress to its people. Having said that, the state has the potential to be progressive. The Nigerian state has the potential to lift the people out of poverty. It is not just a function of government, it is the function of the citizen. Those in government are first citizens. So when the citizen is ripe for leadership, it is seen in the character of the citizen. That applies to the character of the president, the character of the governors, the character and actions of the men in the National Assembly, the women in the National Assembly. It applies to our local governments, to the man in the street. It is the responsibility of all to build a great country. In building that country, questions do arise. Where are you from? Who is he? It's our turn. I'm talking about the ethnic question. It's been there. It's always there. It's refusing to go away. It might not go away. Since it has refused to go away, how do we manage the ethnic question in a way that it allows for the development of the various tribes of Nigeria? This development will not happen in the vacuum. It will happen through the building of consensus. Have we been able to show the interest to build consensus for national development, for sustainable development? So on this edition of the program, let's look at a key subject. It was a subject that defined the Buhari era in Nigeria. That is the Fulani question. As we delve into the Fulani question, questions will be raised. We will answer some, we will leave some. But the attempts to answer them would create different perspectives. It's from the aggregation of the different perspectives that you build consensus. Sometimes it's not about who is wrong or who is right. It's about building consensus. For those who want to break away, you may also need the building of consensus for the generality to agree that you break away. Except you want to pick up guns. So welcome to my word. Welcome to this class of history, politics, and power. I am Edmond Opilo. I'm happy you're here. Last week, I wasn't here at all. It was a very busy week. Like I always say, there are some busy times that will keep me on the road, that will keep me on the table, working, researching. So during those times, you might not see me. But this week you would see me. And the beauty of the new age is that you can always go back to the broadcast, reflect on it, and make certain projections. Since it's a class of politics, it's a class of power, there is a lot to learn from you. I'll be happy to get your feedback, your questions. Let's learn together. It's about learning, relearning. You can never stop learning if you're somebody that is in search of knowledge. The more I search for knowledge, the more I change certain views, not the principles, but there are certain views that one had in the past. And by the time you are exposed to new knowledge, you want to change those views. That is why we must keep learning. And one of the ways to learn is to read. Reading opens the mind. It broadens your perspective. Books are never expensive because what they do to your mind can create revolution within your systems. It can lead you to evolutionary steps towards progress. It can inspire you towards progress. It's not just about history. If you tap into history and you know how to deploy the lessons of history, you can attain whatever height you want to attain politically. Yes. You just need to be a strategic thinker. So it's about the Fulani question in Nigeria. So when we talk about the Fulani, the first thing that comes to mind is power and herdsmen. And when I say Nigeria of the moment, I'm not just talking about the Tinubu era. The Jonathan, Buhari, Tinubu, and the future. So that is what I mean by the moment. So my moment is not today. The Fulani question has given rise to conflicts of ethnic, political, and economic dimensions. If the Fulani is not accused of political and ethnic domination, he is accused of terrorism and banditry. As we speak, the Fulani faces emboldened resistances as a result of its pastoral culture. The Fulani is being taken up because the Fulani is a herdsman. And he is accused of destroying agricultural lands. He's accused of kidnapping and killings. These are serious accusations against the tribe. Are they guilty? We can't answer that question. Or you can. Perhaps I will leave it to you. It is expedient to ask why the Fulani question has assumed this disturbing dimension, that non-state actors are rising in their numbers to resist them. Because of the Fulani question, the Igbo question arises, the Yoruba question arises. If you look at those calling for self-determination in Igbo land, they point finger at the Fulani. So they now question the authenticity of the Nigerian Federation. They are having the feeling that the state is not a legitimate state. Many of them have been provoked by the Fulani. You know, On the show, we are hitting the nail on the head. We will try to be fair to all sides. We will try to be balanced. Even sometimes, you need to point the finger at the right point. That is why a fortnight ago I was talking about A State of Our Own, this book by Gusau Sagai. We are feeling here that everybody listening to this program should have a copy of this book. It's like a pamphlet on the consistent crisis of the Nigerian state, and it's also a reflection on the crisis of self-determination in Africa. Well researched, well written, and written by a renowned professor of political science, Gusau Sagai. I have reviewed it. Get your copy on oderabooks.com. If you read it, it will tell you stories that will lead to deeper reflections of where we are coming from. Talking about where we are coming from, we are coming from a state built on solid ethnic foundation. Look at what Awolowo said in his book. Awolowo said one day, look at the book I'm reading from, The Travails of Democracy and the Rule of Law. You know, the book is scarce. But we just discovered that the publisher, this book was published more than 30 years ago, still had some quantities left in the warehouse. So we've gone to pick up about 200 copies so that you can have access to this book. It has not been reprinted since Awolowo wrote it. And luckily, they are still clean copies. Get your copy. So if you see it somewhere else, maybe somebody just pirated it, or they went to reprint it on their own. But this is the original print. Awolowo said one day, the Saudana, that is Ahmadu Bello, the premier of the northern region, after a series of public meetings and rallies, stopped at a catering rest house to have lunch. He took out his handkerchief, sneezed into it, and found that his nostrils were filled with dust. He looked at the handkerchief with obvious dismay, shook his head, and said in a voice that carried the depth of his feeling of utter revulsion and resolution, saying, "I shall never forgive Chief Awolowo for this." You know, sometimes if you don't read the stories written by this man, you begin to make certain projections. If you love politics and history, if you love power, read. One of the bane of our development is that leaders of the 1960s were more brilliant than the leaders of today. What was the difference? Their reading habit. Azikiwe, Awolowo, they were great readers. And they were writers, great writers. You can see they wrote books. They wrote it themselves. I know when I'm reading Awo because he writes the way he speaks. You will know when somebody writes a book for somebody. Awo was a great scholar, was a deep thinker. Read their works. I encourage this generation to read. No matter how busy you are, read. Yes, we are all hustling, but read. There's something it does to you. The crisis of the Nigerian state will only be resolved by deep thinkers, not just talkers. Deep thinkers. It requires deep reflections. And you must have a clear understanding of everything. Yes, you might not attain that everythingness, but of almost everything. Ahmadu Bello said, I will never forgive this Awolowo. What happened? Awolowo was a campaigner on the field. So towards independence, the action group went to the north to campaign, asking northerners to vote for action group. Ahmadu Bello is an aristocrat. He's somewhat a feudalist, a conservative. He doesn't believe in asking for vote. Who are you for me to come and ask you for vote, to vote Ahmadu Bello? For him, it's like a birthright thing. But Awolowo mounted so much pressure in the north that Ahmadu Bello became scared that if he doesn't come out to campaign, Awolowo might take over the north. So after coming out to campaign in the dust, he became so tired and almost sick. And while he was resting, he blew his nose and saw that dust were coming out. He said, Awolowo has made me to leave my comfort zone to beg for vote. I will never forgive him. Remember, they sent Awolowo to prison 2 years after. Look at what Awolowo wrote here. Saudana is a Fulani. Remember, it's the Fulani question. Let's take it nice and slow. Let's have a discuss. Repost. Let's repost. Let's share. Call your friends. Tell them to come. Now the class is on. Look at what Awolowo said here. Sir Ahmadu Bello claimed. Okay, let me start from here. However, for the entire feudal hierarchy, all that was too much for them. Coming out to campaign was too much for them. And they too must have vowed, like the Saudana, never to forgive Awolowo. A report in the Sunday Express of 20th December 1959 at page 2 summed up the attitude of members of the hierarchy in the north. So he quotes the newspaper. So the newspaper reads, I shall divide Nigeria into two and hand them over to my lieutenants. Ahmadu Bello is being quoted. Sir Ahmadu contended that his party, MPC's new decision, is to invade the South politically, and it was to be a reply to Awolowo's invasion of the North. He cited a portion in the Quran. Which says, you have come to our home, and from now on, we shall be taking the battle to your house. Sir Ahmadu Bello claimed that, like his great-grandfather, Shehu Otmar Dan Fodio, who, he said, after his conquest, divided the conquered country between his two sons, I, too, after conquering the South, we also divide Nigeria into two to be taken charge of by two of my lieutenants. This is Awolowo talking about Ahmadu Bello. So this is the book of the day. Adventures in Power, The Travails of Democracy and the Rule of Law by Obafemi Awolowo. Azikiwe wrote some good books. Sadly, we can't find these books. They are out of stock. They are out of print. And I don't know why the publishers are not printing them. Because people are also not buying enough. So publishers are running away. There are a lot of good books that we should read. I'm asking a publisher, why are you not printing? He said, people are not buying. You can see this book was printed about 30 years ago. They still have it in the warehouse. Perhaps they forgot it in the warehouse. But we have reminded them that let's bring it out. Let's let the people read these books. Like Ojukwu's book. Because I was involved, or because I am involved, That's the only book Ojukwu wrote. I've disturbed the publisher. Can we reprint this book? But we are thinking of something. Perhaps we are going to buy the right. We'll buy the right to reprint. We'll get to that point in Udara Books. Yes, we will. So that these books will be on the table for the sake of the future. So Awolowo has given us a reflection of how the Fulani swore to deal with him. And they dealt with him. They dealt with him. Ahmadu Bello took over Western region. But the Yoruba people resisted. They resisted vehemently. Ahmadu Bello took over the Western region through Akintola. But the Yorubas resisted through Operation Wet Here that led to the first military coup. You know, so the Yorubas resisted. Yorubas have a way of resisting. And the Yorubas have a culture of writing. There are a lot of books written by Yorubas. Deep culture of writing. Yes. I said, why has the Fulani question assumed a disturbing dimension in Nigeria? That non-state actors are now rising in different tribes to demand for their own states so that they don't stay with the Fulani. And if you've read Ahira Declaration, I will come to it. I will come to that. Because after the Fulani question, we'll move to the Igbo question. If you read Ahira Declaration was like the Biafran Constitution. Well written. You can compare it to declarations for total emancipation of a people. And one point that was raised in that declaration was the dominance of the feudalistic Fulani politicians. It was written there clearly, and I think I will read a part of it. So why? But are there positives to take from Fulani? Are there positives? There should be. There should be positives to take from every tribe in Nigeria. Now, Chief Tola Adeni will start this conversation in his own way. In 2020, I wanted Chief Tola Adeni to tell me what he feels about the Fulani question. I wanted a critical intervention from him. You know, I don't know if Chief Tola Adeni in this 2020 interview emphasized a popular narrative of the Fulani wanting to take over people's land. Who is Chief Tola Adeni? He was the chairman and managing director of Daily Times of Nigeria, then Africa's largest newspaper. So he's a renowned and global newsman. He started working at Daily Times in 1973. In 1974 at Daily Times, he became Africa's first newspaper ombudsman. Chief Tola Adeni acted as editor-in-chief of the Tribune. He worked with the American Atlanta Inquirer, Britain's Lancashire Evening Post, and he worked with Canada's Toronto Star. He is the author of the book In the Belly of Vultures. It is the biggest book I know on Nigerian politics. Soon you'll find that book on this table. It's such a big book. So, Chief Tola Adeni on the Fulani question. Where is the Fulani question taking Nigeria?
There's only one way it is taking Nigeria, is to destroy the country, to destroy the space. Well, it has destroyed the country, and that's why I say we have now a space, is to take over that space and drive away, kill as many as they can kill, rape as many as they can rape, do whatever, plunder as many as much they can, and take ownership of a place that never belonged to them. That is where they are taking Nigeria to. And the resistance that will follow their ambition, their nefarious plans, is that will bring now the confrontation that will nail the coffin of a place they used to call Nigeria.
It will nail it?
Oh yes, certainly.
There's already a coffin?
Certainly, certainly. There's no doubt in my mind. The Fulani they may be politically savvy because of their advisors in Britain and US, but they are too unintelligent to want to take over the space called Nigeria. They are too unintelligent to think that they can ever become owners of this place. It's just not possible.
Is that not a conspiracy
Intelligent
theory?
people will not attempt. Any intelligent people who cannot take over ordinary Biram in Plateau State, who have tried for more than 25 years and they have not been able to conquer Biram, just Biram, and take it over, who have never dared to attack a single village in Lantan, will now dream that they can overrun the entire Igbo land or overrun a Yoruba land.
But where is that theory coming from?
Which theory?
This theory of Fulani wanting to take over our land. Is it not a conspiracy theory that might tear us apart?
No, it's not a conspiracy theory. They tried in Plateau. Plateau is almost 100% a Christian place. Benue had been completely ravished. And they come, they displace the people there, they settle there. When you go to Sango Katav has virtually become a Fulani enclave, which wasn't so 20 years ago. It wasn't so during the time Lekwot gave them resistance. What I'm saying, therefore, is that the way they have plundered Benue, that people there can no longer go to their farms, they go into the houses, kidnap, rape, so on and so forth. The plan is to continue, once they will have taken over the whole place, is now to move downward south. They've now moved to the east, they've moved to south, they've been killing people in Delta, they're doing the same thing in Yoruba land. Let me land. You can now see that it is the same pattern. That was the way it started when between 1804 and 1880, Yumfa, the supreme head of the Hausa kingdoms, of the Hausa 7 kingdoms, were massacred, and they took over and then installed emirs in these places. And they've not relented. It's the same dream that they want to continue now that they had a man who had greater sympathy for their cause than they ever had.
Then what is unique about the Fulani that gives the Fulani the boldness to make the attempts you have just described, which the Sultan will not agree with you?
I know Sultan now, they've now seen, that's what I'm saying, they've now seen that it's not possible, that they're just being stupid and misguided by their few leaders who are selfish and ignorant. Albright, the former U.S. Secretary of State, warned the United States that you are becoming the most hated country in the world because of the way you are behaving. So that's the same way now Sanusi and the general in Sokoto, who is a sultan, they are also warning their people that if you are not careful, the way you are going with this, your madness, you become so hated. What is it that's emboldening you that you continue this murderous journey?
Chief Adewunmi, from your analysis, it has been an ongoing process, right?
Yes, since 1804.
So it's not about Buhari?
No, not to do with Buhari. But they found a champion in Buhari when he came to power.
When you say a champion, how do you mean?
Because he's the president he's the patron of the Mietala.
So that does not mean he is supporting them. He's just a Fulani man.
No.
It's just a coincidence.
No.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
You know, sometimes somebody might not understand my style of questioning. Somebody gets angry. Why is he asking that kind of question? He should know now. It's not my role to know. It's my role to ask the question. Let Chief Adewunmi is the one to know. Forget what I know. Mine is to ask the question so that the guest will tell us what he knows. But here, I will tell you what I know. But I also moderate it. That is why I'm bringing in the interviews. So that's Chief Tola Adeniyi there. I'll give you a number to call so that we can have that engaging conversation. Also repost. Let's repost. By reposting, we are attracting more audience and we are spreading the education. And we're also bringing more people who also have great ideas and they will share. It becomes a broader class for building consensus. I'm just driving it, but let's build it. Leave your comments. Tell me what you think. Disagree. Agree. It's also an avenue for us to learn how to debate. Tame your anger and your emotions. You argue on the basis of facts, right? So the number to call, you call on WhatsApp, you call directly. So the number is 080-999-18449. So the number is on the screen. 080-999-18449. That number is also Udara Books number. I have talked about 2 books in the class already. I've talked about this, A State of Our Own. If you cannot go on the website, www.udarabooks.com, you can just get it through this WhatsApp number. We can always deliver it to you in any part of the country. So you can go on udarabooks.com, A State of Our Own. I have read from Awolowo's book. The book is full of expositions and revelation. I think on one edition of the program, I'll just dedicate it to reading this book. Yes. On one edition, I'll just pick out about 50 pages. We'll read it. I think I need to do that. Just read some books for those who might not be able to purchase it. And hopefully, we are going to create a library someday where people can come in and read these books. Just sit down, create a good atmosphere for you to read. And also create like a fireside chat where we can talk, debate issues, reflect on the country like a constitutional conference in our own right. I was talking about Ahira Declaration. At the height of the Nigerian Civil War, the leader of Biafra, Odumegwu, Emeka Ojukwu, on the 1st of June 1969, and it was towards the end of the war, he gave an inspiring speech. That speech highlighted the principles of the Biafran Revolution as enshrined in the Ahira Declaration. Okay, we have a caller. Sir, let the conversation.
Good afternoon, Mr. Edmond.
Good afternoon.
Sorry, I've missed this class so much. Not that I listen to it, but I don't know. Sometimes I'm at work and I don't know how to contribute. Sometimes it's quite painful that I can't contribute. It's just today's bank holiday here in England.
Good.
This is a program that I cherish so much. I wish the knowledge you can be a guest lecturer in maybe 60 to 70 universities in Nigeria so that you can be transferring your knowledge to so many people, because like I said, if people that are 50 years and above are dead, my generation that are 40 below are empty. Because we lack direction, we lack hope, we lack virtually everything, no moral life. I was listening to the interview, and what the man is saying is pure, because that is what my dad told me. And coming back to Buhari, Buhari is a Buhari, the Fulanese see Buhari as a messiah. They worship and they adore him. And Buhari plays according to the gallery, according to the plan. Like I keep asking myself, this is 21st century. How on earth can Nigeria be telling me that a terrorist in a country will be making call with a Nigerian network, be it MTN, Glo, and whichever network, in Nigeria, and the Nigerian system does not know where and how to capture them? 100% impossible. Mr. Edmond, if you post a picture now from your studio, from here, from my own phone, I will tell you where you are and where that picture is being taken. There is no two ways about it. Mm-hmm. With all the technologies that we have in Nigeria, with all the experts that we have in Nigeria, what are we doing? Nigeria has been divided under religion and ethnicity. And I keep asking myself, the religion, the Christianity or the religion or the Muslim that we practice in Nigeria, is it the same that they practice in Dubai, Qatar, Singapore? Because when you see a Muslim from Dubai, Singapore, Malaysia, you'll be asking yourself, if you see a Christian from England, somebody who called himself a Christian from America and other countries, you'll be asking yourself, is this the same thing that we practice back home? Buhari engineered the Fulanese, because prior to between 1999, while I was in secondary school then, my dad was doing my JS1, to 2015, the killing in Nigeria wasn't too much. As a child, I didn't hear it much until 2011, when Buhari lost the election. And he said, I heard it, I saw it over the newspaper.
All right.
I know of a guy who was in my schoolmates, not classmates. He was killed. He was a copper in the Katsina state then. He was killed because Buhari lost an election. Look at how Buhari sent military to the southeast. I now ask myself, is it that Sambisa is too much? Is it that Plateau State is too much? Is it that the MTN and the Glo network providers are no longer working in Nigeria, that we cannot dictate where these people are?
Okay. Can you round off now so that we also give other callers the space?
No problem. Thank you. Sorry, I'm sorry for taking it too long. But the next thing I want to say is that I don't know how to promote your work. I wish I can be able to promote, because what you're doing is a history that I need to transfer to others. That is why I find it joy to read more of your books or to buy books from you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you. We have another caller here. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Edmond.
Good afternoon.
I'm calling you once again from the UK.
Thank you. I'm happy to hear your voice.
Yes, thank you. Because you mentioned the Ahiara Declaration, I think that's what you're discussing today, or you made mention of it. I want you to reflect on what Ojukwu said on 1st June 1969. He said that the Federation of Nigeria is today as corrupt, unprogressive, and as oppressive and irreformable as the Ottoman Empire was in Eastern Europe over a century ago. And in contrast, the Nigerian Federation, in the form it was constituted by the British, cannot by any stretch of the imagination be considered an African necessity. Yet, we are being forced to sacrifice our very existence as a people to the integrity of that ramshackle creation that has no justification either in history or in the freely expressed wishes of the people. You see, that is what Nigeria is today, sadly. Since then, 1969 till today, he made a good observation. You see, why I have to highlight this is, you've said something, I read something Awolowo observed, this way Sardauna treated him. It hasn't changed. What I want to say on your program, I want people to phone and challenge me. I'm ready to hold a debate any day. Let them show me the ancestral homeland of the Fulanis in Nigeria. The Yorubas can claim Ile-Ife or any other place they point to. The Benis has their own, the Igbos, the Jaws, the thieves. Where is the ancestral homeland of the Fulanis in Nigeria? And why is it that, according to Professor Nigo Tite, there are more than 300 ethnic groups in Nigeria, yet only one is asking for land. Only one is threatening, slaughtering people up and down the country. Why must we continue to live like this in Nigeria? Is it not time that we allow the likes of Professor Banji Akintoye, who applied for the Yorubas to exit Nigeria, let us give him a hearing. Let them go. Let any other group want to go. Let them go. We cannot continue to be living in a stone age in Nigeria. It's a shame. Ordinary countries that we help to prop up are now the people telling us to wake up. Nigeria is a scar on the conscience of the black world, not even the world, just the black race. The Sierra Leoneans are ashamed of Nigeria. The Senegalese, because of one people, the Fulanis. Why must it be like this?
All right.
Nigeria, please, people should find their way. We cannot continue to live, according to Professor Akintoye, living a third-class life in 21st century. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for making your point. Yes, one of the ways you can also promote this program is to, I can see more than 100 persons viewing on X, and we have just 8 reposts. So if that more than 100 persons, let's say about a quarter of them repost, you are then supporting the program. But if you don't repost and you are viewing, you are also supporting the program. We appreciate that. We really appreciate that. But we want to expand the class. And because it is social media, once you repost, you comment, you engage the program, it attracts more persons so that we can expand the discourse. So please repost. If you're on X, if you're on Facebook, please share. I can see us watching on YouTube. Thank you. We are also streaming on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can also repost. We are streaming on State Affairs app. State Affairs has an app. It's a complete app. That app can link you to the YouTube account. The app can link you to our podcast. We also have audio podcast. So you can download that app on Google Play Store or Apple Store. Just search for Edmondo Bilo, State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo, and you would find it. Thank you. Keep engaging. Let's talk. Let's hear from you. You know, the numbers to call, or the number to call is 080-399-18449. So I was talking about Ahira Declaration. The subject today is the Fulani Question. But I'm making reference to the Ahira Declaration. Why am I making this reference? A critical analysis of the declaration shows the drawback of the Nigerian system. And that drawback of the system you would identify is as a result of Nigeria's social and structural formations. In the declaration, Biafra notes that despite fighting in the highest traditions of Christian civilization, Western powers, the very custodians of the Christian civilization, joined resources with the Muslim Hausa Fulani oligarchy to fight. The station is the question of religion, a factor fundamental to the declaration. In fact, my master's degree, I have a master's degree in political science. My thesis was on the Ahịara Declaration. It was the Igbo question. And the specific was the Ahịara Declaration, using it to explain the Nigerian question. I've always been interested in the Igbo question. It is my origin, really. For those asking for origin, But I'm at home in Yoruba land. It's home too. I'm at home everywhere. But I refuse domination by anybody, by the Igbo, by the Yoruba, by the Hausa Fulani. I resist domination. So the Ahịara Declaration makes the point. You see, the Hausa Fulani oligarchy was mentioned clearly in that declaration. It is an explanation of the opposition of the Igbo to the dominance of the Hausa Fulani that controlled political power, leading to the war. The Igbo used the Ahịara Declaration to emphasize a resistance to Islamic contagion. That word was used, Islamic contagion, championed by the Arabs from the Near East that swept through the Sahara to northern Nigeria. In the declaration, the Igbo asserts that the Biafran struggle is a resistance of Arab-Muslim expansionism. I'm quoting directly. So by 1969, while the war was on, Ojukwu and the Achebes, Chinua Achebe was one of those that wrote the Ahịara Declaration. They were Igbo scholars that wrote it, and Ojukwu delivered it. So they saw Arab-Muslim expansionism, and they linked it to the Fulani. So they said in the document that the Igbo will refuse to buckle at militant Arabism. Is that what is going on? As an instrument of attaining political power. You saw why I needed to go study that document and use it to explain contemporary political crisis in Nigeria. I'll be publishing the thesis soon as a book. I'm just reworking it because I spent my time researching. You will see the prologue and the epilogue. So I just made reference to the declaration to point out that one of the reasons for the war was due to the Fulani question. Now, this period calls for the understanding of history. It calls for the understanding of why the presence of the Fulani among other groups in Nigeria of today arouses suspicion. It is the reason I am disturbed about the danger associated with the Fulani question. I'm also mindful of the violence in Nigeria, with the Fulani suspected as the main culprit. Like Chief Adewunmi said in that interview, the threat of an explosive outcome is real if men and women of justice do not arise to mediate the unraveling situation. And that is what we are doing here. We are mediating it in a class. Having said that, I make the point that using ethnic conflict as a means to achieving the independence of competing tribes does not necessarily bring development. Please get this point. Having said that, I make the point that using ethnic conflict as a means to achieving the independence of competing tribes does not necessarily bring development. That's my view. What's your view? Remember, the number is there. I'm waiting to take your call. Just call. Let's talk. I'm not in a rush. I don't rush the class. We take it bit by bit. We grow into it. Yeah. So the number is on the screen. That is 080-349-18449. Let me know what you think. So why did I make that point? That using ethnic conflict as a means of achieving the independence of competing tribes does not necessarily bring development. Why did I say that? You see, a state can be monocultural. You can say, okay, the Yoruba people, Ondo, Ekiti, Oyo, Oshun, Ogun. They are Yorubas. That means they are monocultural. They are the same people. But you know they can fight and kill themselves, even though they are Yorubas. Yes, I will take you into history. So, a state can be monocultural and yet remain poor and the center of violence. But that is not to say that attempts at domination of one ethnic group over the other should not be resisted. Every domination should be resisted because it leads to injustice. It entrenches nepotism and violence. That is why power should not be concentrated in the hands of few persons, tribes, or groups because they deploy it for selfish purposes. Man is naturally selfish. That is why there must be check. Man is naturally selfish. That is why you must create checks and balances to tame the selfishness of man. It's only few persons that are benevolent. That is why when a country is lucky to have benevolent leaders, you see how they grow, like Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew was a benevolent leader. Some said he was a benevolent dictator. Who cares? He grew the people from third world to first. That is benevolence. Nigeria has been so unfortunate. Nigeria does not have benevolent leaders. It has selfish leaders. Yes, there might be few benevolent, but their impact is not enough to lift the people out of poverty. So don't concentrate power in the hands of few persons or a tribe, because power possesses an absolute power. Possess absolutely. It is this sort of dominance that defines Nigeria's political system, and it is a major cause of unwholesome violence. Let me take this call. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Ojukwu, Esquire. Is this the State Affairs?
Yes, Mr. Ojukwu, this is State Affairs.
I'm happy to be able to join today. Your program is, in my opinion, the most informative and educative radio program in Nigeria as of today.
Thank you.
I'm intrigued by this your analysis today, and the question I often ask or wonder is, why are other ethnic nationalities not as keen as the Igbos appear to be in their Hera declaration for the purposes of asserting their own independent nation. Or, even if not an independent nation, some level of autonomy, like it existed prior to the division of the states, when they have the regional government, and Nigeria was able to exist as a country and at the same time functioned effectively.
Hello.
So that's what I'm wondering. Because it is obvious that what works or who works for this country is for each region or ethnic nationality to have some level of control over their own affairs so that they don't feel dominated or taken advantage of by other nationalities. Or by a nationality, ethnic nationality that appear to be stronger or more powerful politically and otherwise. So why are other ethnic nationalities not aspiring, so to speak, to have some level of control over their own affairs as a thing? That's the question I've always wondered. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for calling. Thank you. We need to understand Nigeria. You know, Mr. Ojukwu has raised the point. You know, that is why I brought this book. Understanding Modern Nigeria. See, look at it. Well researched, written by a professor of history, Tony Falola. Now, understanding modern Nigeria, these are the focus of the book: ethnicity, democracy, and development. Classic work of history, politics, power, and development. This book provides one of the most comprehensive and insightful analysis of the complexities of democracy, development, and state building. Going beyond narratives of post-colonial dysfunction, this book highlights the contradictions, ambiguities, and positive potential of Africa's most populous country. You see, the depth of analysis and policy prescription make the book an essential reading for anyone who seeks to understand Nigeria. Get your copy now. And this book is going, I've asked Professor Tony Falola, when is he reprinting the book? He's not saying yes or no. But I know in the next 6 months, you might not be able to get this book again. And quality print. I recommend the book to you. We still have some copies, so you can go on udarabooks.com and get your copy. Or you can contact us on the same number you are calling. Send us a WhatsApp message and you can get your copy on WhatsApp. 672 pages. It's a big book. It's a good book. And fortunately, I was part of those who debated the content of the book when it was unveiled in Nigeria. We're professors and we unveiled the book. Classic work of politics and power. So I recommend it to you. Understanding Modern Nigeria, Ethnicity, Democracy and Development, written by Professor Tony Falola. It's about the Fulani Question in Nigeria. The lines are open. I want to hear from you. Let's talk. Let's debate. Yes. See, the president of Nigeria, the governors, control too much power at the detriment of the people. You see, in most states of Nigeria, the governor dominates the House of Assembly members. They can deal with them if they want to. That is too much power. That means in states, the Houses of Assembly cannot check the governors. So the governors become emperors in their own right. The Nigerian president is too powerful. He controls the police. He controls the army. So governors have to go to Koto to him. See, they are all running to Abuja. On a very good day, a governor can decide not to even see the president in 4 years. Because a governor in a federal system that I want should be one that has the resources to run his states and has his own police. If it's a regional arrangement, solid, you don't need to be running to any president. No president can bully you. Yes, there can be cooperation between the federal and the regions or the states, as the case may be. The Nigerian president can be a bully. And they bully governors the way the governors bully members of the House of Assembly. We have to look at that. There is a central policing system that gives unexplained powers to the president at the detriment of governors, local government, and the general public. No matter the resources allocated to such policing system, it will brazenly abandon its responsibility in chase of arrogance. It becomes an instrument of dominance of a president at any time. They can rig elections with the police. They will use the army to rig elections. Because power is overtly centralized. Use the police to protect criminals. So it becomes an oppressive policing system against the people it is meant to protect. Because it's a colonial police, it protects the leaders more than it protects the people. So really, it is the protection of the leaders. That is the kind of policing system we have. It is a policing system hijacked to protect a political leadership bent on misgoverning the state. Due to resistances against domination, the police is undermined internally and externally, leading to national insecurity. That's when you can see some gunmen are killing policemen. They are killing soldiers because they see them as illegitimate. We cannot have that kind of system and expect development, rapid development. Let me bring back Chief Tola Adeniyi. Here, Chief Tola Adeniyi is talking about a state that is on fire. What fire? Looking at Chief Tola Adeniyi, reading his articles, he is an acidic writer. I'll bring his book. You need to read his collection of articles. It's a big book. And I think it's one of the most expensive books in the market. But it's worth having. It's worth having. So here, Chief Adeniyi talks about a Nigeria on fire.
And so you cannot have anybody that will submit to intimidation from any other section of this country again, of this space.
The Igbos are spitting fire.
Yes.
The Yorubas are spitting fire.
Yes.
Even the Fulanis are spitting fire. Do we want to set the country ablaze?
You are a seasoned broadcast journalist, very intelligent, educated. You know, sir, that the country is already on fire. The country has been on fire maybe in the last 8 years. But the fire became more pronounced in the last 4 or 5 years. The country has been on fire.
We can douse the tension, can't we?
We can douse the tension if just one thing if those who are sponsoring the aggression can call the aggressors to order. And that is what we are already seeing in the Emir of Kano and the Sultan of Sokoto saying, look, what we are doing, you are going on the path of ruination. You are going on the path of catastrophe. And now you have to get yourself back. So that and the spitting of fire by the nationalities in the space called Nigeria would douse the fire. If, and big if, the Sultan and the Emir of Kano are able to succeed in talking to their people.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That's Chief Adeniyi there. In a simple analogy, if you make a hyena a president in this system, the hyena controls the forest, the hyena determines who gets what. The hyena does this because it has been handed the guns to shoot animals who disobey its command. This is what I call an arranged forest, an awkward arrangement. In the natural order of things, the animals take on themselves leaving to the survival of the fittest. Therefore, lions, tigers, and elephants of the forest line up to appease the hyena because the hyena has been given the gun. So they have to appease the hyena to get their shares of the food of the forest. By this, the natural equilibrium of the forest is broken, causing the lion to pretend to respect the hyena, while waiting to pounce on the hyena when the time comes. And the system that throws it up will be pounced upon too. This is the kind of grudges bedeviling the Nigerian state of the moment. Okay, we have a caller here. I'm happy the caller is here. So let's talk. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. Radio man.
I greet you.
My name is David, and I'm calling you from Lagos, Ikorodu to be precise.
Good. Happy to hear your voice, David.
Yes, I'm present in the classroom again today.
I can feel it.
Yes, last week we were here because usually I have to collect some of my friends that we have similar ideologies. So we sit down here, waited for you last week. We did not see you.
Sorry about that. Sorry.
Anyway, we are catching up because there are a lot of content that we posted before that, so we're going through it and deliberating. Anyway, thank you so much. So you see, the reason why we're having this conversation today is because Nigeria is not progressing. It's because we have a lot of trouble in our land. Stagnancy, corruptions, those are part of the symptoms of bad system. In my own humble view, as a layman, so the reason why we are not progressing, that is just it. And if two people are not progressing, or an institution, organization is not progressing, you have to look at the structure, the system that set up that organization, so that you know where the problem comes from. And I'm sure for people who have discerning mind, they should be able to understand the kind of point that makes Nigeria to be stagnant, that makes us unprogressive, that makes countries like Singapore, even China, South Korea, to be ahead of us, even Brazil. Because I remember when I read books, I discovered that Nigeria was ahead of those countries like Brazil, South Korea, India, and all those countries, the times of Awolowo era. So what makes us now today that now we are now lacking behind, we are now called third world country, and those countries are now like first world to us. For me, I think the reason is not far-fetched. Because for those people who believe in the Bible, there is a Bible passage, I think that Amos 4:4, that says, can two people work together except they agree? If there's no agreement between all the nationalities, we cannot progress together because there's no agreement. Because there's a lot of selfish interests all along. So Nigeria was founded on the principle or the foundation of selfishness. So when the four founding fathers of Nigeria came together, everybody in their pockets, they all have selfish interests. Everybody have ethnic interests, not Nigeria itself as an interest. I don't know how to phrase it like that. You know, I'm not a speaker like you. But like you said, Nigeria need great thinkers. So that's where I think I might not be able to express it properly like you will do. But I'm sure you understand what I mean. So when Nigeria was created, given to us as an independent nation, all the founding fathers, all of them, I believe, they all went there to the table, to the conferences with an ethnic agenda, not nationalistic agenda. So there is no tangible agreement among us. That is the reason why Nigeria is not progressing.
Thank you.
So we all know the right thing to do if we are not shying away from it. So that is my little contribution today. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
David, thank you. That's not little, that is heavy. That's deep contribution. We appreciate you from this end. Thank you. David, where's Goliath? What happened to him? All right. Tom Tech is on X. Tom Tech is saying that Nigeria will reach shared prosperity. Where did he start from? Am I reading from the beginning? Okay, it said we will reach shared prosperity when millions are lifted out of ingrained poverty. He says at the moment, nothing indicates that income is rising. As you can see, there is galloping inflation. Is it really about Tinubu or is it about a systemic problem? Leave your comments coming. Let's repost. Let's share. Let's take the message further. Call in. Let me hear from you. It's not just about me. It's about us. And I'm recommending books to you. Try and get some of these books. It will broaden your horizon. It will teach you new lessons. And they are great titles. There is a new book recently published, edited by Professor Wale Adewunmi. It's a new book in the store. Democracy and Nigeria's Fourth Republic. Governance, Political Economy, and Party Politics. We just got this book last week. I've only read about 2 of the articles. But I was wowed by the depth of research that went into this work. You know, I like edited books. Edited books are written by different scholars, then compiled by a top scholar who is called the editor. Part 1 of the book is Democracy and the Nigerian State. And you will find a broad, deep, and clear essay entitled Reconstructions, Resilience and Relevance, Political Elites and Ethnic Mobilization, 1999 to 2019, written by Professor Ewusa Osagai. Ewusa Osagai is the author of the same Estate of Our Own that I have recommended already. If you read this article here, it gives you a deeper perspective of where we are coming from. There's another one here written by Rotimi Suberu. I interviewed Rotimi Suberu about 7 years ago. He used to be at the University of Ibadan. I think he left Nigeria about 15 years ago during the period of that severe brain drain. An astute scholar. He's now in the US. It's in the US. So, Suberu writes here, federalism, constitutional reform, and the elusive quest for political restructuring in Nigeria's Fourth Republic. You see? That is another great read. We just put this book on Udara Books on Sunday, so you can find it on that store. Democracy and Nigeria's Fourth Republic, Governance, Political Economy, and Party Politics. Let me tell you, I read these books, I eat these books. If I don't read, I feel ill. At some point, I just feel, hey, guy, drop this book. Go and do something else. Go and play. But again, I have a dream. I have a dream of a great future. And I want to be among those that will shape Africa. I need to understand everything about Africa, about Nigeria. I might not get everything, but I'm making that push. That is why you see, when I say I want to travel, whenever I want to travel out, African countries are on top of my list. African countries. I want to visit African villages in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Ghana, in Morocco. I want to see. I feel this is the age of the African. We need to redefine the state. I highly recommend this book to you, written by more than 20 scholars on African politics. You'll see the work by this beautiful professor. He taught me. You know, by the way, I'm doing a deeper research on politics and power. Should I say PhD? I don't like that word PhD. But I'm doing a deeper research. You might call it a PhD if you want. Okay? Democracy. Democratic regression, political parties, and the negation of the popularity principle by Jibril Ibrahim. You know, Northern scholars are also super scholars. Northern scholars. So this is the book I'm talking about. Democracy and Nigeria's Fourth Republic. You see it? That is the book. Get your copy on udarabooks.com or through the WhatsApp numbers pinned to the broadcast. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. Call in. Let me also make this point. It is about a Fulani question. I've talked about the hyena, the lion. How the hyena was given the gun and it controls the forest. But the lion is waiting to pounce. The tiger is waiting to pounce. That is the Nigerian state. The different ethnic blocks are waiting to pounce. What about the thief nation? You know, the Benue axis is dominated by the thief. You know, there's a thief militia as we speak. Well-armed thief militia as we speak. That is why today I brought you this book, History of the Thief. History of the Thief, Akigasai. When I come to autumn, we call it they say it's autumn. But the Benue man said the pronunciation is autumn. All right. So when we come to autumn, we'll talk about this book, History of the Thief. You can get your copy on udarabooks.com. Who is the Fulani? Call him a Fulani, or you call him a Fula. You can also call him a Fube. You can call her a Fube. Is the Fulani necessarily a Muslim? Majority of them are Muslims. You see, the Fulani is a tribe scattered throughout West Africa. The total population of the Fulani tribe worldwide is estimated to be around 45 to 49 million, with the largest number of the Fulani tribe found in West, North, and Central Africa. So the Fulani is a minority in Nigeria in terms of number. So what makes this minority so powerful? There must be something about them. Do you agree? A minority tribe is so powerful. There must be something about them. Remove your sentiment. There must be something about them. That a minority tribe is so dominant that the Yoruba nation is crying, the Igbo nation is crying. There must be something about that tribe. So are you studying what is it about this tribe? That even the British preferred them to the Igbo or the Yoruba. You know, the British preferred them. If you read this work, that is why I brought it. See this work. Nigeria, Africa's failed asset. This book has documents, letters that were published by the British, the colonialists. This book, yes. Nigeria, Africa's failed asset. A thoughtful, well-researched and revealing account of the behind-the-scenes moves that led to the creation of Black Africa's most populous nation, and the behind-the-scenes move of how the British handed power to the Fulani. You see the documents, quotations, archival materials. This book is dear to my heart. Written by Paolanimu Ajayi. As I talk about the books, try and get your copies. And give out books as gifts. Give us books as gifts. Buy books for people. Give them. They might not read it immediately. Someday they will just pick it up and open it. Something will just hit them. Give out books as gifts. Not just about you. I'm talking about the Fulani. By geographical distribution, the Fulani is an African citizen scattered mainly in West African countries. The largest concentration of the tribe is found in the Fota-Jolon highlands of Guinea, where they are the largest ethnic group. The Fulani forms a significant population of Senegal, Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. I didn't come with that book. You know how the Tuaregs migrated from the Sahel into Sokoto. If you studied that migration, you will understand something about the Fulani. I'm studying the Fulani keenly. Yes, I am. Once I see any work about the Fulani, I pick it up. What is it about these people? The Fulani is a minority tribe in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, in the Gambia. They are minorities in Ghana. They are in Benin, where they are also minority. They are in Guinea-Bissau. So you find the Fulani in Togo, in Côte d'Ivoire, in Cameroon, in Chad. They are in Liberia, in South Sudan. See, they are wide, they are spread. Can you get it now? So, do you understand them now? I know you do. They make up one of the largest ethnic groups in the Sahel and West Africa. By the time you put their number together, you say, okay, Buhari is bringing them from Togo. That Buhari is telling them to come and settle in Nigeria because they are everywhere in West Africa. The presence of the Fulani in the Sahel can be traced through migration and conquest. they fight. They don't run away from a fight. They fight. So that's how they dominated the Hausas. They came in during the period of Ottoman and Fudio. Kanu used to be an Hausa state. They conquered the Hausas and took over those places. How did they conquer the majority? What kind of fighting skills did they have? They conquered Zamfara, and wherever they conquered, they planted a Fulani as the king. So you call them the emir. The emir of Kanu is a Fulani governing the majority Hausa people that own Kanu. Ilorin, they conquered Ilorin. Ilorin used to be a Yoruba state. But they could not conquer the Middle Belt. You know, Tiv. I don't know if you have studied the Tiv people. You know, we underrate them. I don't know why we are not paying attention to the Tiv people. They could not conquer the Tivs, the Middle Belt, all those Jukuns. Those ones were rugged. So perhaps some people are saying they are now trying to conquer them, you know, by the constant attack you are having in the plateau, in the Mambila plateau. But we tend to hear this discussion of it is the Fulani always killing. But the Fulanis are being killed too. I hope you know. I don't know why the media is not laying emphasis on that too. I will come to that. So they make up one of the largest ethnic groups in the Sahel and West Africa. About 13 million members of the Fulani tribe are pastoralists. They are roaming from one place to the other. They don't have borders. They don't believe there is border. So when you are saying Nigeria, they don't understand that. They are pastoralists. They are just moving wherever they find grass. They don't want to know whether it's Nigeria or Guinea. So when you have 13 million members of a tribe as pastoralists, it is clear that it makes them the largest nomadic pastoral tribe in the world. But the largest Fulani subgroup are artisans. You also have scholars, merchants, and royalties in cities and towns, and the sedentary pastoralists settling in agricultural lands to rear their cattle. There are also Fulanis who believe that you don't need to move, that you can sit down in a ranch and rear your cattle. Yes, there are Fulanis like that. So the major problems are the pastoralist Fulani, right? Being defended by the royalties. Aisha Ismaila. Let's bring in Aisha Ismaila. Let Aisha Ismaila help us to explain the Fulani. You know, Aisha Ismaila is one woman I've worked with. We've done some works together, some documentaries about the problems in the north. So Aisha Ismaila will explain to us who a Fulani is. You know, from that explanation, we might be able to see the socioeconomic patterns of the Fulani, and then we can take some lessons from that. So Aisha Ismaila on State Affairs. Go to Cameroon, you search for the Hausa community.
Yes.
Is there a difference between Hausa community and Fulani community?
Well, yes.
What's the difference?
Yes, the difference is that, you know, the Hausas speak Hausas, Hausa language, Hausa. Then the Fulani speaks Hulbe.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks Hulbe. And just like you have the Hausa, you have this Fulani, you have the Yorubas. You know, I, for one, if you gather the Yorubas here now, and each of them continue to speak their Yoruba, I'll be able to say, okay, this man is an Ijesha man. This man is an Ikiti man. Is that right? And this man is an Ibadan man. This one is from Lagos, Yoruba, you know, and this man is Ijebu. I will tell you, but they all speak Yoruba, but from different areas. So also Hausa and Fulani. Fulani has about, they have about, let me say, 2025, Fulbe language.
Okay.
Yes. That, for example, now, you remember in Kogi State, there are this Yoruba called the Kabas.
Yeah.
When they speak their own Yoruba, you may not understand, but the Yoruba man from Ibadan, when he speaks, the Kaba man will pick it. You understand? So also, the Hausas.
So you are saying the Fulani in Sokoto might have a different tone to the Fulani in Kano?
Yes. They may not understand the language.
No.
But yet it's still Fulani they speak.
In those border towns, is it dominated by Hausas or Fulani?
Dominated by Fulanis.
By Fulani.
Fulanis are more in number than any other person you think of. There is nowhere you go in the African country that you not see a Fulani man.
A Fulani man in Nigeria, what does he think about a Fulani man in Niger?
He didn't think of anything. All he knows is that they are both Fulanis.
That's all?
That's all.
The Nigeria child does not matter?
No, it does not matter to anybody.
So Fulani is an African thing?
Yes.
They don't believe in the border?
No. They don't believe.
How does the Hausa cope with the Fulani?
Yes. That question is a very good question. We cope with them because we have similar cultures with them. And they understood the way they will understand Hausa immediately. You, a Hausa man, cannot understand Fulbe.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
So Aisha Ismaila is Hausa. I'll bring her to the studio soon, because there's a lot to talk about this question. I'll be happy to hear from you, so call in 080-999-18449. Let's hear from you. And you can also get some of these books we've been recommending through the same number on WhatsApp. Send us a WhatsApp message, or you go on udarabooks.com. Abisodun says Ilorin is not a state. Kwara is the state, and Ilorin is just a local government in 16. Okay? I can see, okay, I've read Tom Tech. Okay, it's a long message from Tom Tech. Thank you. Let's see what you are saying on Facebook. Let's come on Facebook and read some messages here. Joseph Egbodo, thank you for joining the program. Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro, thank you for always being there. Onobamiro is saying, another problem I see in Nigeria is there are just some Nigerians who do not believe in one Nigeria, no matter what. And they are entitled to their feeling. And don't be surprised, they will get it one day with the way they are going. If Nigeria is not careful, because the discourse in Yoruba land is becoming intense. The Akintoyes are making impact. They are winning some souls to say they need Yoruba state. And if it becomes intense in Yoruba land and Igbo land at the same time, Nigeria will crack. When the Yorubas and the Igbos, why if they intensify it, it will crack. Because the two ethnic groups are too big that if they push in one direction, it will crack. So let's watch it. Okechukwu says, I can't wait to read your book. Yours is the most informative radio program in Nigeria. Mr. Okechukwu Umemo, thank you. Peter Amadi says, the Bush Fulani are the medieval brig. Okay, they have to adapt to the new age. Yes, they have to. It's about the new age. Omotayo Oluwarotimi Onobamiro says, not all Fulanis are bad. Yes, that point has been made. Everybody cannot be bad in the tribe. Peter Amadi, thank you for joining this program. Thank you. Let's see who is on YouTube. On YouTube. You can call in. Call in, let's hear from you. Let's hear from you. YouTube. Okay. You can see this. I can see myself here. I'm watching. Levinati, thank you. And you can subscribe to my YouTube account. If you go to my YouTube account, you'll find past editions of programs. And there are some we have recorded. We are going to post them soon on those YouTube accounts. Okay? So you can go to YouTube, like the Tola Adeni interview. I've not posted it on Edmond Obilo's YouTube channel. I know I posted it on Twinkle. You know, we run a Twinkle channel. Twinkle has been quiet, but it's going to come up soon. So we are going to post the video of the Chief Tola Adeniyi interview. Diamond King, thank you for joining the broadcast. Levi Nati is everywhere. Uchenna Victor says Aburi Accord is what explains everything. Levi Nati says Moses was a benevolent dictator for the Israelites. So was Gaddafi. Okay, I have a caller here. Let's take this call. Hello.
Hello, Edmond. This is Lucky calling from Norwich.
I greet you.
United Kingdom.
I greet you.
I greet you. It's quite interesting. I'm in class today. I tend to follow class, but because today is bank holiday, so I happen to just be in class. But Saturday, I hardly miss class. You see, why today's topic was quite interesting to me was, I first found your clip with Tola Adeniyi like 2 or 3 years ago, talking about this Fulani question. And that was what got me interested. You see, the original clip, the full clip of that thing, Tola Adeniyi gave an answer to the Fulani question. My take on this is this. Buhari is come and gone now. So what I'm saying is this. What we arise again concerning this Fulani, because we should also understand that this same modus operandi was what Osman Danfodo used in the beginning against the Hausas. And Buhari succeeded in it. So now we should watch out again for the next move. Because in this 21st century, nobody can dominate anybody. That nobody will subscribe to it. Back to the same Tola Adeniyi that if these Fulanis, they dare not attack conquered any Beron tribe, not even any Ojukwu or Tiv land, talk less of conquering Nigeria. So I think we are overrating these people, to me, honestly. I think the Nigerian of today is just a class struggle of people exploiting everyone's being to get to where they are. And thank you. I appreciate what you are doing. The Lord will bless you. I quite enjoyed you. Just keep on educating the Nigerians. And I think when I come to Nigeria, because I'm coming soon, we'll get to meet and we'll talk better. God bless you, and you have a lovely day.
Thank you. Thank you for calling, Mr. Lockie. We're happy you called. Different perspectives. Share your idea. I want to hear from you, so that I'm not the lonely voice on the show. See, the socioeconomic patterns of the Fulani show that he is a pastoral person. But today the Fulani is either pastoral, semi-pastoral, or town Fulani. The pastoral and nomadic herdsman, also known sometimes as the Bororo, living in less organized social systems, is the representation of the authentic tradition of the Fulani. Did you get the point? The pastoral and nomadic herdsman, also known as the Bororo, living in less organized social systems, is the representation of the authentic tradition of the Fulani. I have a caller here. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This is Levinati. I'm calling from London.
Hey, you're on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I've left a few comments. Just to add to what the last caller said, I totally agree with him when he said a lot of people are using these things, like these ethnic sentiments, to get themselves to where they want to be. So the point I'm trying to make is this. Rather than seeing the Fulani question or the Fulani problem in isolation as one of the problems of Nigeria, I think it's better to approach it holistically and just say, look, this contraption is a mess. I noted that the last caller also said we should be thinking about in this generation what is next. What he means by what is next is not 2027 election. I bet maybe he can call back and prove me wrong if I'm wrong. Because that is it's just going nowhere. Every 4 years, the election, and then it's just getting worse. People need to sit down around the table and say, all right, Igbo people, what do you want? Yoruba people, what do you... But, these things are easier said than done. Because the people who are benefiting from Nigeria, they will do from one Nigeria, they will do anything to protect and defend their interests. But as far as I am aware, and I am Yoruba, I'm actually Ijebu, Yoruba people have had enough. And even though there are some infighting in the Yoruba struggle camp and all that, the collective decision, as far as I'm aware, there was a 5 million petition that was gathered by Mrs. Abiola, Abiola, about 2 years ago. And that represents the decision of the people. I bet you not even 5 million Yoruba people voted for Tinubu to be president. Anyway, I don't want to take too much. Thank you so much for accepting my call, and continue this beautiful work you're doing. We support you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Interesting analysis. The lines are open. I want to listen to you. I want to hear from you. You see, I made the point that the pastoral and nomadic herdsman, also known as the Bororo, living in less organized social systems, is the representation of the authentic tradition of the Fulani. In this case, stopping the herdsman from its nomadic path is seen as the destruction of his tradition, leading to the Fulani putting up a destructive fight in defense of its tradition. Are you with me? Bala Muhammad is the governor of Bauchi State. He's a member of the PDP. Bala Muhammad explains to us why the Fulani will hold AK-47 to defend his tradition. That's a governor speaking. A governor that is a Fulani man. He tells you that the Fulani has the right to hold AK-47 in defense of his tradition and survival. That is an interesting analysis. And because it is interesting, it is worth examining keenly. And that is why I say to you that Samuel Otom, the immediate past governor of Benue State, did everything possible to state the position of the thief, to resist the herdsman in his own way. So let's bring in Bala Muhammad into the discourse. He talks about the Fulani holding AK-47.
And now, because a Fulani man is practicing the tradition of transhumance, pastoralism, he has been exposed to the vagaries of the forest, the animals, and now the cattle rustlers who carry guns, kill him and take away his commonwealth, that is the cows. He had no option but to carry AK-47 because the society and the government are not protecting him. What is his fault? It's the fault of the government and the people. You don't criminalize all of them because in every tribe there are criminals. If cybercrime is being practiced mostly by one tribe, you don't criminalize the whole tribe that they are criminals. We should be very sensitive.
You should be very sensitive. That is the governor of Bauchi State, Bala Muhammad. He made that statement in September 2020. That's when he made that statement, Bala Muhammad. And his counterpart in Benue State, Samuel Otom, replied him. So let's listen to Samuel Otom.
This country belongs to all of us. And the federal government, the presidency must act fast because time is going. From north, west, northeast, north central, southwest, southeast, south. There is general insecurity. And this is being prepared by herdsmen. I want to repeat again. I have made it a petition to the presidency and to all security agencies before that if they want peace, Mayor Tiala must be arrested. These are people who have owned up. They have taken responsibility that they have killed, they maimed, they rape, and do all sorts of atrocities. And yet their leadership is in Abuja, and nobody is confronting them. And until these people are arrested, when I talk, I was being vilified. Nothing bad that was not said against me. I am this and that. But the reality is here. It is not just happening to Benue State today. It is happening to the entire country. Why is the federal government being silent about this Fulani men? When will the federal government come out and criticize and arrest herdsmen carrying AK-47? When are they going to do that? Are we second citizens in this country? What gives Fulani man superior to any other person, to a thief man? I am not their slave. A Benue man is not a slave to any Fulani man in this country.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Yeah, that was Samuel Otom, the immediate past governor of Benue State. He made that speech while he was governor. You know, he was out talking. Samuel Otom never rested. He kept talking. Is he a villain or a conqueror? So it's the Fulani question. Otom is a thief man. You know, I've noticed some people, the way they read. Because you are an Igbo, you are mostly interested in reading an Igbo. You also have tribal sentiment in choosing the books you read. No, not for me. I read everything. In fact, I want to know what makes you. I have not opened this book, but this is the book I'll be consuming this weekend. history of the thief, because I'm getting interested in the thief. You know, the Civil War was mostly fought by the Middle Beltans against Biafra, not really the Fulanis. The army, the officers were mostly from the Middle Belt. Plateau, Benue. Yakubu Gowon is not a Fulani. You know, Theophilus Danjuma is from Taraba. Because this is the beginning of this analysis, we will also look at what happened in the Plateau recently and why it happened. So the thief, if you are interested in the history of Nigeria, you know there was the thief massacre during Tafawa Balewa's time. There was a thief massacre that provoked Awolowo and others in the action group. The thieves were massacred by the military during the thief riots. History of the Thief, Akigasai. This book accomplishes the vision of the thief forefathers who cared about thief history. Therefore, Akiga says, my thief brothers of the new generation that can read this book and tell it to others who cannot of the things of our ancestors, so that whether they are literate or not, at least they will be able to know something about our forebears who have gone on before us. Further, do you, however great your knowledge may be, remember you are a thief. Remain a thief. Know the things of thief, for therein lies your pride. Let us lift ourselves up. So this book is like a book of inspiration to the thief. Any thief man that reads this book will be inspired. So I'll be reading this book so I will become a thief. I want to feel the spirit of the thief. So this weekend I will begin to read this book to become a thief. I've read a lot of books on Igbo land, so I'm Igbo. I've read great works on Yoruba land, I'm Yoruba. So I bring you this book, The History of the Thief. You'll find it on udarabooks.com and you can get it through the WhatsApp number. These are new collections just coming into the store. New collections. We brought in some new books. The biggest book in the store is this one. This is the biggest book in the store, and it's such an incisive. Everything about the Yoruba nation, especially the Igbo people. I'm recommending this book to you. The Igbo people, I'm recommending this book specifically to you. Culture and Customs of the Yoruba. You see this book? Custom to know about Yoruba people is here. It's a big book, more than 1,000 pages. Written by more than 40 scholars on Yoruba history. You should have this book. Are you a lawyer? Are you Igbo, Fulani? Are you a Yoruba son? You should have this book. Yes. If you are a student of this class, save up and get this book. We need to understand where we are coming from. It's such a heavy book, well written. Who edited it? Tony Falola, Akintunde Akiyemi are the editors of the book. Lovely book. This innovative anthology presents an interdisciplinary approach to Yoruba culture and customs. Written by Yoruba experts on all continents, the 25 chapters in the volume employ a variety of multi-faceted perspectives to provide a detailed study of the Yoruba people. Okay? The ball is in your court. As we round off on this edition of the program, insisting on primordial tradition in the face of rapid modernization stems from non-appreciation of the changes in his environment. I'm talking to the herdsmen. However, there are patterns of the Fulani responding to this environment. When the Fulani declared a jihad 1804 to 1810 in northern Nigeria, it captured a large territory populated by the Hausa tribe. The hegemonic aristocratic system the jihad imposed is also successful because the Fulani accepted the Hausa language. It cannot resist it. The Fulani accepts the language of his environment. That is Bala Muhammad's point. The Fulani is global. He is an African person. Bala Muhammad makes the point that the Fulani is a Bayelsan, he's a Yoruba, and he's Igbo. So let's listen to Bala Muhammad, the governor.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
There is a lot of mistrust and misconception with regards to the Fulani man. The Fulani man is a global or an African person. He moves from the Gambia, from Senegal, and his nationality is just a Fulani man. And as a person, I may have my relations in the Cameroon, but they are also Fulani men. I have relations because from the maternal side, I'm a Fulani man. And that is why we want to educate people. A Fulani man sees himself as a Bayelsan, as somebody coming from the Niger Delta, because he speaks the Niger Delta language, which you and I don't. And of course, we would have to just take this as part of our own heritage, something that is African, and that we cannot just close the border and say the Fulani man is just a Nigerian or this. No. In most cases, the crises are precipitated by those outside Nigeria. When there is a reprisal, it is not the Fulani man within Nigeria that causes it. It is that culture of getting revenge, which is embedded in the tradition of the Fulani man, that attracts reprisal from all over the world.
If I understand it, does that mean that those Fulani men who are maybe domiciled in other countries, who move around, they can come into the country and this plan will accommodate them as well?
Yes, that's what we want to do. But it has to be done through sensitization, telling them you have to buy in the project, and you use the language, the culture itself to be able to convince them, away from the mistrust where the whole system of transhumance or pastoralism is criminalized. Criminalization of pastoralism is the problem that we have with this project. And it requires people with passion who understand them and who they believe in, people like us from that part of the country, to say, yes, we have this. Because today there is no limit to the accusation that this and that has happened and it is the Fulani man who caused it. There is no tribe that is not, that you don't have this criminality in, but certainly the way and manner we do it is really exacerbating the crisis and the problems.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
That was Bala Muhammad in an interview on Channels Television. You see, Fulani political leaders in West Africa. Buhari was president of Nigeria. He is a Fulani. The president of Gambia, Adama Barrow, is a Fulani. The president or the immediate past president of Senegal, Macky Sall, is a Fulani. The president of Guinea-Bissau, Umari Sissoko Embalo, is a Fulani. Bobo Cisse of Mali is a Fulani. In Nigeria, because of the dominance of the North in producing the head of state, the southern person frowns at the political dominance of the Fulani over the South. It is this sentiment that defines the issues behind the Nigerian Civil War. As Nigeria unravels, the hegemonic North loses its hold on the Middle Belt. The claim of a monolithic North is challenged, causing the South to refer to the ruling elites in the North as the Hausa Fulani bloc. Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello, Mr. B.
I greet you.
Please, I greet you. Okoro Donchuk speaking.
Okay.
Yeah, I listened to Bala Mohammed and I listened to all the head of states that you have mentioned. My question is to the Fulanis, what developments are they bringing to the table before you conquer? Is it only, I want to conquer, I want to conquer? Is it the only thing they are championing? Like Bola Muhammad will say, let them speak the language the community will understand. Let them, they are trying to bring them and caution them to settle in Nigeria and abide by the rules, then before executing their plans, because that is the motive. And the question is, like, I'll ask, I've seen an Igbo man going to the north, building a house. I've seen a Yoruba man coming down to Imo State, where I come from, building a house. But the question I want to ask, show me a Fulani man who have built, a modern day tent. A modern day tent. I want to ask, I'm asking Bala Mohammed, why is it that it is only the elites who remain in power that refuse that the Fulanis will not have a ranch? Must Nigeria become stagnant or become retrogressive because of the Fulanis are migrating to Nigeria?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We also need to make the point, Fulanis have houses in Lagos. I know Fulanis have houses in Ibadan. So some Fulanis are building houses. They are also integrating. Some Fulanis were born in Ibadan. They don't know any place. So Ibadan is their home. And they are doing businesses here. The way many Igbo persons were born in Ibadan, born in Ilorin. So I need to make that point. At the moment, it seems the Fulani stands alone in the analysis of the crisis of the Nigerian state. The resentment in the South is now directed at the Fulani ethnic group, raising the argument about the distinction between the Hausa and the Fulani. It tells the story of a fast unraveling Nigeria in the face of rising violence, with Fulani herdsmen and bandits in the middle of the mayhem. It is no longer a matter of whether the Fulani is being profiled. It is more about the character of the Fulani that leaves his identity in the mouth of those that encounter him. Because the Fulani is prominent in the political system that makes the country poor, he becomes the opponent of other ethnic groups that protest their marginalization in the power game. Meanwhile, the Fulani, having enjoyed political dominance, exhibits his influence at the chagrin of other tribes, causing him to be on the defensive as he stakes his claim. This is what is interpreted as the audacity of the herdsman. He faces reprehension by the political behavior of the elites of his tribe. Mind you, The herdsman is denied formal education and the basic amenities of existence. He wanders through the wild with his cattle, confronting wild animals as he goes. This is the environment that explains his behavior. He exists in the past, and he is challenged by those redefining the past. So, he is threatened and starts a fight to remain in the past. Is that what Tola Adeniyi calls the North being caught up in the past? Let's listen to Tola Adeniyi as we round up the show.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
You know, some would say that the North is caught up in its past. It remains one of the poorest zones in Nigeria.
The poorest, not one, certainly the poorest.
And we're talking about the Northwest here.
The poorest in Africa, if you want to say.
That has become the zone of conflict.
Yeah.
You have bandits in Katsina.
That's right.
Bandits in Zamfara.
In Sokoto.
Do you think the leadership of the North now knows that something is wrong with the past?
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
the political leadership.
Political leadership, unfortunately, no. Because if they were, I wouldn't expect the man in Plateau supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect the man even in Taraba supporting Abuja. I wouldn't expect even the man in Katsina, who is currently paying, whose people are paying 1,000 per head to their attackers, to still be praising Buhari's government. But the ordinary folks in these areas are beginning to see reason, and they are not towing the lines of their political leaders. I'm sure if elections had been free and fair, no way Nalong, whatever his name is, could have become governor in Plateau. They would have probably chosen Jeremiah Hosseini. But because we didn't have elections since Buhari came to power, we've had all sorts of people claiming political leadership over their people. And that was what we have. So if you say political leadership, if you say, do they see danger in what is happening? And I say no, it is because the so-called political leadership is not representative of the people in these areas.
That's a region that has the largest number of out-of-school children.
Yes, again in the world. Not only in Nigeria, in the world.
How did we allow this to happen as a country? Because you cannot exonerate the South from the conflict of the Nigerian state.
Well, I don't know whether we allowed it. And I'll give you a reason. From the South, Zik warned against it in 1964. Obafemi Awolowo warned against it about the same time. Even as recently as 6-7 years ago, President Jonathan built almost 200 Almajiri schools in the north to make sure that their children go to school. So what else do you want the South to do? The Southern leadership had always been preaching against this lawlessness, this neglect of your people. They just wouldn't listen because culturally, it pays them to have some people down.
State Affairs with Edmondo Bilo is live.
Yes, that is Chief Tola Adeniyi, the main guest on the show today. Chief Adeniyi was chairman and managing director of Daily Times of Nigeria, then Africa's largest newspaper. He started working at the paper in 1973. In 1974 at Daily Times, he became Africa's first newspaper ombudsman. Adeniyi acted as editor-in-chief of the Tribune. He worked with America's Atlanta Inquirer, Britain's Lancashire Evening Post, and Canada's Toronto Star. He is the author of the book In the Belly of Vultures. Are you there? Let me round off with this point. Yes. If the herdsman is not taken away from the past, he will continue to resist the future. In this case, even the town Fulani who has abandoned the past will be his victim. This explains why Fulani bandits also kill Fulanis in Zamfara and Katsina. Therefore, some herdsmen are kidnappers, not because they are Fulani, but because of the environment that enables his primordial tradition. If he's given a new environment, his behavior will change. Environment also influences tradition. If you take this Fulani herdsman to America, he will not act that way. The point is that every dominance faces serious resistance at some point. You remember the Kiriji War? A war fought from around 1870 to 1866. It was 16 years of traumatic wars among Yoruba city-states. The war came after the fall of the Oyo Empire. So what the fall of the Oyo Empire did was that Ibadan then rose to take the place of Oyo Empire. Ibadan became the strongest city-state in Yoruba land. Ibadan's military power was unchallenged. So Ibadan became dominant and domineering. So Ibadan sought to unify Yoruba land under a central authority, from which the decision on who gets what and how is derived. Ibadan wanted to centralize the Yoruba states under its powers. Ibadan wanted a pan-Yoruba unitary force and was ready to impose it, leading to a serious resistance by Ekiti Parakbo. Ekiti enlisted the help of Ijesha to stop Ibadan on his track. Even Egba supported Ekiti Parakbo. Like I said earlier, every dominance leads to injustice. When there is injustice, there is no peace. If an Oduduwa or Biafran state is born with constitutions similar to that of Nigeria, the Yorubas or the Igbos, as the case may be, will turn against themselves, as is presently witnessed in South Sudan. After South Sudan broke away from Sudan, it descended into a bloody civil war because its leaders adopted a system and behavior similar to that of the Sudan that they fought against. As I speak, the United Nations Humanitarian Coordinator in South Sudan, Alan Nadol, has released an urgent appeal for more than $1.6 billion to help more than 6.6 million people facing food insecurity in South Sudan. Hello, friends. The point I'm making is that we have laid too much emphasis on tribes instead of the political and economic systems that breed animosity. It is this system that endangers the Fulani and other ethnic groups in Nigeria. The violence of today is therefore a fight for a new Nigeria, or the fight of the birth of new states. Will Biafra come, Will the state of Oduduwa come? Will the state of Tiv come? Are we witnessing the fight for Nigeria's second independence? I leave you with those questions. I'll be back on Wednesday to continue the discourse. I'm happy you are always there. I'm happy you are always reposting. And I'm happy you are always resharing. Don't stop. And I'm happy you are always there to view, to join the class, to call in. Thank you. We appreciate you from this side of time. I am Edmondo Bilo. I worked with Ayo Ashimolo, Tosin, Ayeni Oladele. I worked with Samuel Kalu. I also worked with Miriam Giwa. Together we brought you this edition of the program. Hey you, join me again on Wednesday at 2 p.m. West African time. Don't miss it.